Sometimes the result arrives, but the feeling doesn't. And that's the part that almost no one prepares us for. We know how to handle disappointment. We know what to do when the plan fails. We regroup, we work harder, we go after it again. What's harder to really understand is what happens when the plan works. You reach the goal, people congratulate you, you feel proud, maybe even relief, but the feeling doesn't last as long as you thought it would. Many times it's a few days later and your mind is already somewhere else. The next goal, the next problem, the next thing. And from the outside looking in, nothing looks wrong. The business is growing, people respect you, your family is proud of you. You have choices you once dreamed of having, and yet there's still something missing. Thankfully, it's not enough to make you walk away from your life. It's not enough to call it a crisis. It's just enough to quietly wonder why more of what you wanted hasn't created more of what you want to feel. And that space has a name. It's the gap. The gap is the distance between the success we've created and the experience we thought success would give us. We we thought the achievement would create peace. We thought recognition would create confidence. We thought more money would create freedom. We thought finally arriving would allow us to be present. But the outside changed faster than the inside did. So what do? We do what successful people know how to do. You set another goal, you raise the number, you upgrade the house, you grow the team, you make the next move. And I'm not suggesting that ambition is wrong. Ambition can be beautiful. The desire to create, to contribute, and see what we're capable of. I mean, that's a part of being alive. The problem begins when we ask external success to solve internal separation, because it can't. You can close a deal, you can't close an internal gap with it. You can increase your income, but you can't deposit your way into peace. You can earn recognition. You can't make recognition become wholeness. And look, I mean, I get it. This can be difficult to hear when you've spent years doing everything right. Because part of you may think, wait a minute. I worked for this. I sacrificed for this. I took the risk. I made the decisions. I created something real. And you did. The gap doesn't mean your success is fake. It doesn't mean your work didn't matter. It doesn't mean you should want less. It means success was never designed to answer every question we asked it to answer. And that distinction matters. The business can be real, the money can be real, the accomplishment can be real, and the emptiness can be real too. Those truths can exist in the same life. A person can be deeply grateful and still know something isn't complete. You can love what you've created and still feel distant from inside yourself. You can be surrounded by people and still feel strangely alone. You can have more freedom than you ever dreamed and feel unable to stop and slow down. And this isn't ingratitude, it's information. The the feeling isn't telling you that your life is wrong. It may be telling you that the way you've been relating to it is no longer enough. Think about think about how many moments we postpone. I'll slow down after this quarter. I'll take the trip after the next hire. I'll be more present once this challenge is behind me. I'll enjoy it when everything settles down. But everything rarely settles down. The details change, the pressure finds a new name. And then years later, we realize we spent most of our life preparing to live it. I've coached a lot of people who had reached their goals they once believed would change everything. They had the income, the net worth, the reputation, the home, the opportunities, but when the room became quiet, they still couldn't rest. Their mind moved immediately towards what was unfinished, what might go wrong, what needed to happen next. They weren't failing. They were succeeding without fully experiencing the success. And that may be one of the strangest forms of loss to finally have what you wanted and not be able to receive it. The gap often hides because it doesn't look dramatic. It looks like checking your phone during dinner. It looks like thinking about Monday on Sunday afternoon. It looks like reaching a goal and feeling satisfied until someone else reaches a bigger one. It looks like a vacation where your body arrives before your mind does. It looks like telling yourself you're doing all of this for the people you love while rarely being fully present with them. It looks like a life filled with evidence that you're successful and a private feeling that you're still not quite there. And that's why more achievement rarely closes it. More achievement can change the circumstances, but the gap isn't created by circumstances alone. If it were, the people with the most would feel the most complete. And we know that isn't true. Some people, many people who have very little carry a deep sense of peace. Others have everything they thought they wanted and can't remember the last time they felt at home inside their own life. So the difference isn't the size of the success. It's whether the life being lived feels like theirs. And that's where the gap begins to reveal something deeper. Many of us learn how to create a successful life. Very few of us learn how to recognize whether the life we were creating actually belonged to us. We learned what to pursue. We learned what to value. We learned what would make people proud. We learned what success was supposed to look like, and it was useful. It gave us direction. It gave us discipline. It helped us create something meaningful. But almost none of us learned how to stop and ask where those definitions came from. Why this number? Why this pace? Why this version of success? Why does slowing down feel uncomfortable? Why does enough keep moving? Why can the win feel so good for a moment and disappear so quickly? The gap isn't just the distance between what we have and what we want. That's the version most people understand. We think the discomfort means we need something more, a bigger business, a better relationship, a new experience, a different life. But what if the gap isn't between you and what you haven't reached? What if it's the difference between the life you've created and the person living it? That changes the question. Instead of asking, what else do I need? We begin to ask, why can't I fully experience what's already here? Instead of assuming the next goal will finally create the feeling we want, we become curious about why the feeling has remained so difficult to hold. And that curiosity matters. And it matters because the gap isn't a verdict, it's an invitation. It's the moment life stops rewarding us for moving faster and begins asking us to look deeper. Not because success is bad, because success has done everything it can do. It brought you here. It gave you the evidence of your ability. It showed you what discipline and courage and persistence can create. But it can't tell you who you are. It can't decide what matters. It can't make you present. It can't give you a relationship with yourself. Those things don't arrive with the next milestone. And that can feel unsettling at first because more was always the plan. More gave us somewhere to go. More gave us something to solve. More kept us moving. But there comes a point when more no longer feels like expansion. It feels like repetition. It's the same pressure, different number. Same restlessness, better view. Same absence, bigger life. Same feeling. The outside keeps changing. The experience stays strangely familiar. And that's when the gap becomes impossible to ignore. And it's not because something is wrong with you, it's because something in you knows your life is meant to be more than a collection of things you successfully completed. There's a difference between having a life that looks successful and being fully present inside it. There's a difference between creating freedom and feeling free. There's a difference between being admired and feeling known. There's a difference between reaching the destination and being able to fully arrive. The gap lives inside those differences. And once you see it, you may begin noticing it everywhere in the goal you reached but barely celebrated, in the relationship you love but don't fully show up for, in the quiet moment you immediately have to feel with distractions, in the success you keep defending, even though a part of you knows it hasn't given you what you thought it would. And this is not an argument for less ambition. It's an invitation to stop asking ambition to carry the weight of your entire life. We're allowed to want more, but more should come from something deeper than the hope that the next achievement will finally make you feel complete. Because the next achievement may change your life. It just may not. And in fact, it probably will not change the person experiencing it. And eventually, that becomes the only question that matters. The gap isn't asking us to achieve more. It's asking you to look at who has been doing the achieving.